7 years in prison was an absolute masterclass in the world of remorse and apologies. And I learned the most horrible truths. And here's your warning. First warning, it's not good. Because it's really easy to say sorry to anyone for anything and everything. And if you're the victim, good luck trying to prove if that apology was genuine. You know, I bet a true apology would never meet your standard. It would actually fall short of your standard. Because if you told someone what it would take for you to forgive, then it wouldn't be the same, because they didn't intrinsically do whatever it is that you wanted. Because you'll never know what's going on in someone's head. And even if they tell you, you can never really know if they're lying. And so, in this video, I'm going to share my insights and explore, this world of remorse, or performative remorse, right? Damn, I gotta stop saying right. Anyway, now before we go even further, I'm going to tell you right now, I will not be discussing or performing any personal apologies, because you don't want an apology from me. Promise you. I didn't address my remorse during my first trial, and I disregarded any pressures from my peers in prison yet to speak on it. And ultimately, when we were released, I didn't address it either. And it doesn't mean I'm not sorry, but it also doesn't mean that I am sorry. I just flat out refuse to address it. And here's the reason why. Because you won't believe me. I know you won't. I wouldn't believe me, or I wouldn't believe a victim, or someone if they victimized me. If they said sorry, I wouldn't believe it. And one, it doesn't matter. And two, you don't know if I'm lying. And so what good is that? It's not good. It's not good for good people, and it's really not good for bad people. I'm your boy jerryGolddd, your Stigma Sherpa. And I can tell people, I've been told by many people that I'm the biggest piece of shit. And I don't like that title. But I hate silence and isolation even more. And, I am addicted to being useful. And being a shipper survivalist is how I made it through prison as an ex-officer. And, I make myself available to people who want to explore the mountain of deserved hate. I sell insights. I sell convenience and time, but I'm not a coach. I promise you I'm not a coach, because I'm not invested in your success. That's the truth. I posted my public resume of failure just so I can show myself that I'm not hiding. Now, I'm a Marine reservist with an OTH discharge. I'm a shickhand, Santa Clara County correctional deputy that served under Lori Smith. I was convicted in 2017 of an on-duty murder, which was ultimately overturned in 2022. And then I pled guilty to a voluntary manslaughter in 2024 to prevent a retrial in the name of cowardice and convenience. That's what I did. And then I was released from parole in late 2025, and December. And here I am. And I'm not a self-deprecator. I'm not exposing myself as a defense mechanism to shield criticism. And I can only assume what's coming. But the only thing that I feel that is worth controlling is what I put out. Anyway, so I spent 7 years in prison on a life sentence, awaiting for my trial, my case to play out, like either in the parole hearing or through the appellate court arena. And while I watched, people express forms of regret and apologies for their decisions, I had to learn from them, which is messed up, because I knew I had to learn how to express just like they do. So they were actually teachers in prison. And these were guys that were, one, not sorry, or are sorry, right? It's just boom, half and half. You're either sorry or you're not sorry. It's that simple. It's like black and white. And this is like a state of being, okay? But where it gets honest, there are also guys that are performing, or they are sorry, but for specific things. And they have their own standard, their own standard of what sorry is. Like, they have their own definition. And all of that could be a combination of things, and you'll never know. So that's what we're going to dig into, the deep world of apologies and remorse. Because in that world, in the prison world, you are everything is for the parole board hearing, whether it's early release or life sentence situations like what I had. Because a parole board, they're the ultimate remorse detectors. And they've heard thousands of apologies, and they're trained. They have rubrics, matrices, and they're looking for specific signals. Uh-oh. And they still get it wrong. Constantly. There's, some genuinely remorseful people get denied, and then bullshit artists, they get approved, because detecting a genuine sorry is impossible. And here's what's wild. Like, we all know the patterns and the phrases, here are these phrases, right? There are these, I gotta stop saying right, but there are these phrases that inmates at parole use. And they've probably been used on you, or you've heard them in your own life, or you use them. It's the same script. It's the same script, but it's a different take. So, let's see. I'm gonna go over that. What parole boards? Because I'm gonna speak on parole board, right? Damn it! They keep saying right. Anyway. So what parole boards listen for, right? This is what they listen for, and which, the phrase is supposed to signal, and then where it falls apart, right? Okay, we're gonna go, because with parole boards and all their training and experience, and they can't genuinely detect remorse, and these people are trained. So, like, how do you have a chance, right? Anyway, at least you know what to watch for. I'm gonna say. Man, I gotta put these chapters in there so you guys. Anyway, phrase. Here's a phrase. I take full responsibility for my actions. Okay, what it's supposed to signal is accountability. You're not deflecting. You're not blame shifting, right? Anyway, the person owns what they did completely, and parole boards accept it because it's like the gold standard. It's like the gold standard phrase, and every expert says this is what genuine remorse sounds like. But it is so common that it sounds rehearsed, right? I can tell you right now, I take full responsibility for my actions, and I do completely. But I think it should lead with, here's exactly what I did and why it was wrong. So it doesn't sound like a script. Yeah. Another one is ocean, man. Anyway, there are no excuses for what I did. And what that's telling somebody or the parole board is that they're not going to rationalize, and they're not going to justify, and they're taking full ownership. And parole boards like this because it shuts down the excuse making that that most people do. And it shows that they're not trying to minimize. But where it falls apart is when someone says there are no excuses for it, but the word but is coming. Right? Damn it, I keep saying right. I literally need to stop that. Anyway, there are no excuses, but I was going through a rough time, right? So when you do something like that, right, you are making an excuse after saying you wouldn't. And so you would have to watch out for if when they say I have no excuses, does it end there, or does it continue with the context that sounds like justification? Like if they add anything after no excuses, it's like you're lying. And then another one will be like when you blame the environment. When you say I was in a dark place, or like what straight guys do in prison when they turn gay, or like, man, it was, come on, bro. Anyway, what it's supposed to signal is like a context without excuse. And you're trying to humanize your position, saying that I wasn't myself, that type of energy. I mean, it shows self-awareness about like a mental state, but it implies that you've emerged from darkness and won't go back. And this is where it falls apart. It externalizes responsibility. And then when you do that, you're saying the darkness made me do it, instead of I chose to do it while struggling, or I prioritized a set of decisions that suited my selfish needs, right? And it's like you're placing blame on the place and not yourself. And then do they explain what the dark place was, right? What was it? Depression, addiction, financial stress, or was it vague? Imagine if you're married, your husband is in prison, and then you find out he got with one of them things. What's he gonna say? Yeah. Oh, it is, they use this. They use the phrase, "whoa, whoa, whoa." Anyway, it's wild, but there's another one. I've done a lot of work on myself, and what that's supposed to make you think is there's growth, there's change, there's rehabilitation, and that prison or the consequences or the time wasn't wasted, and that they evolved. And parole boards, they accept it and they like it because it shows initiative, it shows self-improvement, and it's the opposite of stagnation. But where it falls apart is when the phrase "work on myself" is meaningless without specifics. And so you want to know, like, what kind of work? Therapy? What kind of programs? Which ones? Reading or like the books? What did you internalize? What worldview changed? And then you gotta watch if they could name what they did. And if they can't specifically do it, they didn't do anything. But I tell you, right? I tell you what, people don't change. They just act better. I'm the same person that went in to prison, and then I am the same person that came out. You can ask any of my friends, the ones that stuck by. Because I believe prison doesn't change you. It doesn't. It reveals you. I tell all my straight friends in prison, who I still contact them to this day, who have transgender girlfriends. And I'm like, dude, you've always been like that. It's not prison, man. But anyway, there's another very common phrase. It's a really important one too. It's, I understand the phrase, no, I understand the pain I caused. What that's supposed to signal is empathy. They have empathy, or they have victim-centered thinking, and they see beyond themselves the importance, and it shows that they're not just sorry that they got caught, but they are also sorry for the harm that they caused the victim. But understanding is cognitive. It's not emotional. That's like saying it's like saying all racist people are ignorant and dumb and closed-minded. That's not true. Because I've met a lot of racists, white racists, that had my back. That's a different video. Anyway, it's saying I intellectually grasp that you're hurt. That is not the same as I feel crushing guilt about hurting you. There's a difference. Yeah, big difference. And the other phrase that is common is, if I could take it back, I would. We always say that. In prison, man, we always talked about that. And it's supposed to signal deep regret. And that they'd undo it if they could. Right? Damn, that was so good. I didn't say right for so long. Anyway. See, parole boards accept it because it expresses remorse for the act itself. Not just sorry. That was disgusting. It expresses like remorse for the act itself, not just the consequences. But the reality is you can't take it back. And everyone knows that. So it's just wishful thinking. It's empty words. And you did it. You can't use a burnt paper, man. You can't. You know? It's like saying, if I could fly, I would. Oh, man. Yeah, but you can't. So what are you going to actually do? What are you actually going to do? Yeah, look at that. So, here's what you watch for when someone says that. Do they follow it up with action? You know, like they'll say, I can't take it back, so here's what I'm doing instead. I mean, that's as good as it gets. Because if they don't, it's just like, it's a feelings dump. It's like a trauma dump. These phrases baffle me. So another phrase is, I think about the victim every day. Right? What this means is the victim is centered in their thoughts and the weight. And they carry the weight. It shows the parole board that the harm isn't forgotten and that they're living with it. The problem with that is it makes it about their suffering. They're basically saying, I'm tormented. And I think about it constantly. It's like, bro, that's your guilt. The victim doesn't care about your guilt. They care about their pain. And for the ones that you killed, they don't care. The end of their life. And so what you have to watch for is if the victimizer is centering their needs, right? The victimizers centering their own needs and feelings above the victim. And when you do that whole, I think about them versus I think about what I put them through. Now that's different. Very different things. And then when people say, I'm not the same person I was, that's another popular one. That's supposed to signal transformation, like an evolution, that they've grown beyond who they were or something. Parole boards like it because they have to like it because it defeats the whole purpose. It suggests rehabilitation. Like in California, CDCR, the R is rehabilitation. And, the person, the criminal is trying to say that the person who committed that crime, heinous crime, no longer exists. But the problem is everyone says this. And like without specifics, it just means I'm older. I'm older and weaker, not a threat. Like 7 years passed. Of course you're not the same person. It's by a little bit. But then show me how you're different, right? Can you articulate what changed, what values, your beliefs, your behaviors, your worldview? Or is it just, I'm different now, just trust me. Like what I'm saying, hey guys, I'm different. And if they did prove it, I'm telling you right now, I didn't change. I'm the same shipper. I'm the same person. Anyway, another one is I found God, like a religion, or they're into like spirituality, you know. And that's supposed to say like mean like there's a moral awakening, like a higher power woke them up and they made them accountable and gave them a framework for living righteously, which is a good thing. Because religion provides structure and community and accountability. And it is evidence of change. Oh my God. But it's the timing that is suspect. Because after the dirty deed, you found God after? Hey, after you got locked up, or after you got caught cheating? How convenient. It reads as strategic, for me especially. It's not sincere. And then like, you gotta watch out for if they were religious before, if it's all of a sudden, like a sudden change type thing. Because I think sudden conversions are suspect. And then here's another phrase. I'm sorry. This one right here, very simple. Very simple to say 2 words. Shit, you can even say 1 word. Sorry. But I'm sorry is the most powerful. It's the one that can get you in trouble too. It's supposed to signal remorse, regret, and the acknowledgement of wrongdoing. And parole boards accept it because it's the simplest, most direct expression of remorse. But here's where it falls apart. It's too simple. If you killed somebody, or you betrayed somebody, you destroyed trust, and then 2 words is all you give, it'll feel insufficient. It's disproportionate to the harm you caused. And, you just have to, if those 2 words, is it standalone or is it part of a full apology? Because apology in the form of I'm sorry alone is useless. It's I'm sorry I shit in your mattress and here's what I'm gonna do. And it's easy to fake. That's the whole point of this video. The whole thing could be performative. Anyway, if someone says, I know I don't deserve a second chance, shoot, I say it all the time. It's supposed to signal humility and that they're not entitled and that they have forfeited their right to trust, freedom, and relationship. And it shows that they understand the severity and they're not demanding forgiveness. But where it falls apart is if you really believe that, you wouldn't be asking for it, which is why I don't. I am a bitch, that's what you get type of guy. I accept. And then, anyway, like the fact that you're sitting, if you're sitting there asking for a second chance, it contradicts what you said. Like, do your words match your actions? If they're saying, I don't deserve it while actively campaigning for it, they're lying. You know, there's a bunch of more phrases. There's like a combination of phrases. It's not just a list. It gets deeper. This video can run like a million years. I spent 7 years studying sorry, okay? Anyway. Yeah, but those phrases, those are the ones that parole boards hear all the time. And I'm pretty sure you've heard that in your own life. And the messed up part is, even knowing all of that, you still can't prove if someone's lying. You can watch for the tells, and you can notice when phrases are vague, or they contradict, or like there's contradicting behavior, and you'll know when it's scripted. Because I'm gonna write a book on it. But you can't know for sure. And this is where the parole boards get it wrong. That's why you'll get it wrong. Because ultimately, accepting an apology is a choice that you make based on incomplete information. And I say incomplete because you'll never know what's going on in someone's head. And shitbirds like me, we know that. We know you're guessing. We know the phrases, and we know what you want to hear. And some of us just say it to get you off our backs. And now I always tell people when I can about something that they don't want to hear. If something is wrong, or if you are wronged by somebody, you are absolutely entitled to demand an apology. That is your right. You are harmed, and you get to say your terms. But if the person who wronged you refuses to apologize, and you're entitled to feel however you want about that, angered, betrayed, disrespected, all valid. But here's the truth. You're an adult. And adults can take the heat for failing meeting the expectation of society. Right? I'm an adult. I have the right to choose to fail the expectation of society. Oh, and I did. If the person who messed up decides to not apologize, you can't do anything about it. That's it. But there are consequences. People will hate you. They'll cut you off. They'll talk shit. They'll never trust you again. And only you, the person who did wrong, can decide if you can live with that. Or you could just end it. But nobody gets to make that call. Except you. Both sides. So if you're on the receiving end of an apology, or if you're waiting for one that never comes, be prepared to be pissed off. Because most likely, people will fall short. I know that. I've seen it. The apology won't sound right. It won't feel sincere, and it won't include the specific thing you needed to hear. Yeah, people know that. That's why some people they just don't apologize. They don't apologize at all because they've lived a life of hate. And then people on the both sides, you have to ask yourself, can I live with this incomplete resolution? And here's another thing. Being sorry is case by case. There is no universal standard. I mean, there kind of is, but what counts as a enough sorry for like a cheating on a partner is different from what counts for stealing from a business partner. It's different. What counts for lying to a friend is different from what counts for killing someone. Like the harm is different, the relationship is different, the expectations are different. So anyone telling you that there's one right way to apologize or the right way to accept an apology, they're lying. It's all context. And the hardest part, if you're in position of being sorry, you're already in a bad position. Because if the opposition, not the opposition, the other end has to consider that you owe them an apology, there's merit. It's like you messed something up. Something happened, someone was harmed, and now it's cleanup time. It's an uphill battle. And the cleanup is never as good as making the mess in the first place. Does that make sense? Like you can apologize perfectly is what I'm saying. You can apologize perfectly. You can change your behavior. You can do everything right at this point forward. And it still might not be enough. Because some things just can't be repaired. Some trust, some trust once broken. Some trust once broken never comes back. And some relationships, once violated, it's over. And no amount of sorry changes that. So where does that leave us? Where does that leave us? If you're on the receiving end of an apology, if you trust people, get ready to lose trust. There's a reason why in prison we don't put expectations on people. We just don't do it. We don't put expectations on people. Because if you trusted someone to do something and then they fail, that's not on them, that's on you. That's on you. You will never prove you're sorry. You can never prove you're sorry. Completely, genuinely. Not to anyone. What I'm trying to say is the victim can't verify your remorse 100%. The court can't measure it. And the public will always doubt it. That's just how I see it. And I think that's just part of the human condition. But what you can do is stop performing. I say stop performing for people who already decided that you're lying. Which is why I don't give out apologies, especially for this situation. So I'm not going to torture myself over whether I'm sorry enough. So you figure out what repair is actually, like what's actually possible, and then do that. All I'm saying is own what you did, decide what you could live with, and move. That's the only honest path. Yeah, it's the only honest path that you can do. But anyway, enjoy that beach, dog. Yeah. I'll have some links in the description. Later, friends.